today is actually submission of a report which was suggested by the state government during a meeting last year, where we talk about at least something concrete to see how we can continue to preserve and conserve that historical area which has been in existence for more than 200 years. And even though we know that our powers are rather limited because it is now owned by UDA and there's a development plan going on, but we also want to explore any avenues that is possible. Bearing in mind that even when we talk about conservation, at the moment the Penang State Government does not have a Conservation Act, and we are under, of course, the purview of the National Heritage Act. And in that respect, even though we are now drafting one for the state heritage sites, but of course we are still bound by the National Heritage Act for the present moment.
I'd like to make a comment that we as specialists in conservation, we are representing the conservationist view in Penang and in Malaysia. We are not really representing the views of political activists on the grassroots in Tanjong Tokong. We're not representing the views of many of the residents of Tanjong Tokong who have split in different directions, who might be represented by different agencies in the future. We are representing what we believe is a viable plan of sustainable development and conservation for Tanjong Tokong. We are of course concerned for the fact that they have lost their seafront, and we would like to see, if possible, some kind of negotiation or mediation with UDA, whereby these villages could have even like an island on the seafront, and model Malay village with Malay architectural features be built here, if it is ever possible. We think with political will, with some negotiation with ENO properties, with UDA, maybe something could be done on the seafront as well.
Most modern complexes have not been put up yet. So that's why you see still in Tanjong Tokong a lot of empty shells and empty houses. As a result of us agreeing with some of the residents and also the conservation groups that there should be some form of conservation plan. And that's why I think the project has not proceeded as planned as yet. But as I said, ultimately the decision rests with UDA and with the federal government under the auspices of the National Heritage Act.
The history of Tanjong Tokong has been known to be earlier than 1740 actually. It was a thriving Malay fishing village when the British placed a cannon on Bukit Mariam in 1785. We can dispute the founding of Penang in 1786 because we have proven that there is a cannon there which dates 1 year before 1786. You can see the strategic location on a hill overlooking Tanjong Panaga, where local and foreign ships used to land, and there was a military lookout post here. You can see here the markings on the cannon, 1785. It's located in the College General. This is the location of the cannon. Yeah. This is what is remains of the cemetery. This cemetery is currently still in use, and it is surrounded by mostly bungalow houses now. Yeah. Now the problem. When Tun Abdul Razak visited the derelict condition of Tanjong Tokong in 1972, he promised the people of Tanjong Tokong that UDA, as a public housing agency, would develop it. And as a result of that, the Director of Lands of the Office of Penang wrote a letter to the Chief Minister that 54 acres comprising Tanjong Tokong village had been alienated to UDA, but under very strict provision that the land hereby alienated shall be used solely for the rehabilitation, reconstruction, and renewal of Tanjong Tokong village. Okay. The definition of this problem, yeah.
I think it's very important for you all to understand what is the legal statement in the title. The statement that Dr. Wazir mentioned in the previous slide is captured in all the titles alienated to UDA, and that's the first thing that I must mention to you. Okay, go to the next slide. I've gone through all the definitions in the heritage charters of the world and looked for what they actually mean. Okay, so they use the word rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is defined in Oxford Dictionary as to restore to rights, privileges, reputation, or proper condition. Okay, so remember that. The second one is restoration. Is defined as returning the existing fabric of a place to a known earlier state by removing accretions or reassembling existing components without the introduction of new material. The word reconstruction in the Borough Charter is defined as returning a place to a known earlier state and is distinguished from restoration by the introduction of new material to the fabric. So if these are the statements and definitions within the title, then it's our humble contention that UDA should take cognizance of the requirements imposed by the State Land Office. Thanks. Written resources, it's not plucked out of the air. And these will be verified by other scholars. From that historical research and architectural research and geographical research, that's where we were able to draw early plans of Penang. And the plans that I drew actually don't exist in any archives. We prepare what we call a statement of cultural significance, which Dr. Wazir has read out to you. And it's this statement of cultural significance on which we base the conservation plan. So, if anybody wants to dispute why and how we conserve a place, they have to first dispute our statement of cultural significance. And they have to prove that we are wrong. And unless they can prove we are wrong, then this statement of significance stays. This is exactly the same way that Georgetown was listed as a World Heritage Site. They look at what we call the universal values. And if I may say, Tanjong Tokong does have universal value. Okay, so we are on the same equation and the same standing as Georgetown, whether you believe it or not. This is one of the earliest human settlements on this island. So how can we argue that it should not be conserved and preserved? Okay, so let me run you through the area conservation plans. Maybe just go through the map. Go through the map. Okay, for example, we propose rehabilitation of the existing original kampong houses. So I've given you two illustrations of how the top is the before. The building has already been changed, the roofing material has been changed, but so most people will say that this is a derelict building and not worth preserving. But we have worked on other buildings of similar character. And the bottom illustration is how it can so easily be returned to its original form.
This is how they
yeah, this is how they have done their restoration and conservation. But it's not ideal, but they still maintain and preserve the existing features.